Now we're ready to learn to count and play eighth notes in quarter time. In the previous lesson, we learned how to count and play quarter notes in different time signatures. So if I took my metronome and set it on 80 beats per minute, the beat right here are basically quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we're playing eighth notes are twice as fast. So we're doubling that tempo, or we're saying and between each beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now it should sound pretty familiar to you. If you remember all of those warm-up exercises and rudiments, we have been counting eighth notes all along. You just didn't know it. Now before we go into all of this, I want to explain that there are two different counting systems that people use when they're counting eighth notes. Some use the 1 and system like I do, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But there are a lot of people who also use the te system. 1 te, 2 te, 3 te, 4 te. Either system is great. Whichever one your band director or percussion instructor prefers is the one you should use. Now, to learn how to play eighth notes correctly with quarter notes involved, we want to first take a look at the key exercises at the bottom of page 10. If you look at it, it's just two measures of different quarter note, eighth note rhythms that we're going to use to kind of get what it feels like in the hands. If you'll also notice, there is sticking written in underneath those quarter notes and eighth notes. I use this sticking to develop a right hand lead system of sticking patterns. Very, very important that you do that. So let's take letter A for an example to show you how to work this up. Notice the first measure is just quarter notes. So I'm counting out loud, I'm tapping my foot and playing quarter notes along with the metronome set on 80. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that establishes my right hand on every downbeat. The next measure is very simple. I just add my left hand in on the upbeats, okay, or the ands. So that way my right hand stays exactly the same on both measures. The right hand doesn't change. So this is what the letter A will look like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The whole thing is to practice tapping your foot to each beat, because it's a little bit of coordination involved with playing eighth notes with your hands and your foot continuing to tap quarter notes, okay? A little bit, some kids want to tap double time with their feet when they start playing eighth notes. So you got to get that coordination involved. Counting out loud, that's very important. So what I have my students do is play letter A along with the metronome at 80 beats per minute for 1 full minute. After about 30 seconds, it should feel pretty simple, okay? You're all into, watching your hands, making sure that you're counting, you're playing in tempo, and it should feel very natural. Then do letter B for a full minute, C and D for a full minute as well. Then turn to the back of the book on page 55, work through the appendix lines. Probably not a full minute on each one of them, but at least 2 times through each line to get that feeling of being able to count and play the quarter and eighth note rhythms. Now after you've done that for a couple of days, go back to page 11, work out the playing exercises. Remember, we want to make sure that we start very, very slow. These playing exercises are a little bit more difficult because they have all kinds of rhythms, different time signatures. So we want to take it very slow, count and play in the air maybe, just to get the fundamental rhythms down at a very slow tempo before you try it on the drum. The whole key here is to go slow. If you're trying to go too fast, you're just going to get frustrated. So put the metronome on about 80 beats per minute one day, maybe 90 the next, maybe 100. Once you get up to 120, you'll be ready to play along with the accompaniment tracks on the accompaniment CDs. That is going to be your test for the week. If you can master every one of the key exercises in the appendix line along with the accompaniment tracks, then you've got this down. In our next video lesson, we're going to learn another basic stroke, this one called the upstroke.